BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Declan McKenna and Rapture. I haven't heard that for ages. So look, I know there's a lot of chat about the heat, but you know, we're British, that's what we talk about. We talk about the weather, and normally we have rubbish weather, so we've all gone into overdrive. But I thought it might be quite mindful to speak to a nurse. So I've got Emma Hammett on the phone, and she's a first aid nurse, and she's made some really creative videos on social media. Good evening, Emma.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Emma, I'm not going to lie, I had quite a bit of sweaty underboob earlier, so...
I think you're oversharing.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, have you met me? That's what I do. Couldn't help it. I mean, me and, you know, a million other women in this country, it doesn't... I don't think it matters what size or shape you are. I think we've all had it. Because a lot of us are at work in these silly temperatures. Normally, I was thinking about this earlier, Emma. Normally, this temperature is holiday temperature. You've got your swimmers on. You buy a pool. You're on a sunbed. You're under an umbrella, and you've got a cocktail, so you can cope quite nicely. Thank you very much.
Totally.
Yeah, but because we're at work, and lots of us, I mean, the aircon in here, I'm so lucky. It's like on a steady 18 or 19. It's Arctic in here. It's really cold.
So are you going to sleep there tonight?
Do you know what, Emma? That is not a bad shout at all. Last night I had to go downstairs and open the back door and just sit in the conservatory, and it was just lush. But it was still very close, but all the hot air rising in my house, it was hotter upstairs, you know?
Absolutely. It's roasting upstairs.
Have you got tips as a nurse? Yeah, I mean, you've seen it all. Are there anything or any ways that we could stop our body from actually overheating that we're perhaps not doing?
Well, I would start with your house, and it does get hot upstairs. And during a normal English summer, we would open our windows, and that would be sufficient to get a bit of a breathe through, and it would be a little bit cooler. This is not a normal English summer, so you need to close your windows during the day. So open them first thing in the morning, close them as soon as that sun comes round, so it depends which side the sun's coming round. Close them as soon as that is coming round, close your curtains, and if you're able to, stick a blanket or a duvet or something over just to give it that much more insulation to stop that hot air getting in.
It works, Emma, you're so right, because my dad lives in Australia, and he told me to do this ages ago when he first moved there, because he said, you know, when he first moved to Australia, he was like opening the windows, and then his next door neighbour came around and said, oh no, you mustn't do that. You've got to shut everything, shut your blinds, pull your curtains, leave everything in the dark, and the house stays cool. And then I do it, and it does work. I know you're tempted. Work. Yeah, you're tempted, aren't you? You sort of think, well, if I just open the window, I crack. But then you let all that hot air in.
And it's hot. It's really hot air at the moment. So keep that hot air out, and in a few hours, you'll be able to open it up again and let the breeze through. And it will be cooler. It'll still be a hot night, but it will ensure that that hot air hasn't risen all the way up and that your bedrooms are much, much hotter. You might find you have to, I don't know, move a mattress into the hallway or something, if it's that hot. So
or in the lounge, maybe. I mean,
in the lounge, it's always cooler downstairs.
Yeah, especially if you've got babies and stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But you can stick your pillowcase in the freezer.
Yes,
you
that's
can
a good
stick your pyjamas in the freezer. Have a cool shower before you go to bed and let it evaporate off you.
Oh, right.
And run your pressure points, so your wrists, run them under cool running water. Be careful putting ice. Don't put ice straight on your flesh. So your frozen pyjamas are all right because they'll literally just melt and they'll be slightly damp, but you're not going to get ice burns from them.
No.
But don't be tempted to go to bed with a block of ice because you will get ice burns, and they're not. They're nasty.
No.
They're as bad as a heat burn. So just be sensible about that. You can take some ice, but you always need to wrap it. So you can go to bed with a pack of frozen peas, but make sure it's wrapped in a tea towel. Right. And be aware that you might get a damp patch on your bed.
Now, you've posted a video on social media about dogs, haven't you? Cute dogs and keeping dogs cool. What tips? I mean, it drives me absolutely mad. I mean, we've had 2 or 3 stories today in our news, and I think we're 2022. Who's leaving a dog in a car in 2022? What is it that people have not understood? I mean, who are these people? Because they're nobody I know. You know, you just think, who are these people leaving dogs in cars?
But it might not be that the dog is left in the car park, although that happens. It might be that you're driving along and the dog is in the boot and you've got an air-conditioned car and you think that's fine. The dog is in the boot with direct sunlight coming onto them, and that is enough, unfortunately, to kill a dog.
Right, okay. All right, okay.
So, you know, right. And that is people just not understanding. It's the same, you know, you think about it when you're sitting in the car.
Yeah. If
you haven't got window blinds down, you've got your child in the back of the car and you've got the hot sun coming straight at them. They should have UV covers on their car seats,
right,
to protect them from the sun coming in. And don't be tempted on, you know, car seats or buggies to put a blanket over the top, because that can trap the hot air. Right. But I mean, people do that because they think, well, that's going to stop the air coming through. I've seen plenty of people do that.
Have you? What could you use instead then as a shade, or is it just you just don't go out if you've got a buggy that's not covered?
First of all, don't go out unless you absolutely have to, and if you do, then go out before 9 a.m.
Right.
Babies under 6 months should not be exposed to direct sunlight. So they shouldn't have sun cream on them, and they shouldn't be in direct sunlight. So if you can, get yourself one of those proper UV-resistant car seat covers, buggy covers. They allow the air to circulate, and they protect your child. If you're using a parasol, yes, the air can circulate, but be very aware that the sun will move, or rather, it will move depending which direction you're wheeling your buggy. So it might be that, you know, you park them, you're having a natter with your friends, and you turn around and the sun has moved and your baby's now in direct sunlight.
Right, okay.
So you just have to be more conscious.
Is there a website or anything that you would recommend, Emma? Just because these tips are really great, but is there somewhere that we can just go and have a look and just get more information if we need it?
Well, you can go to mine.
Oh, well, let's go there.
There's plenty of others. I mean, you were asking me about dogs as well. Do you want me just to tell you a bit more about dogs?
Yes.
So, I mean, if you imagine going out in this weather in a fur coat.
Well, no one would do that, would they? And run around.
And bare feet.
Yes. Oh.
So dogs will lose their heat through their paws.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason that I'm able to talk on dogs as well is that I've got a book called First Aid for Dogs, and I run dog first aid courses too. So that's why I'm talking on both sides. As a nurse, it sounds a bit weird. But anyway, so dogs will pant and they will lose the heat through their paws. So if you're walking them on a hot pavement, not only can they end up with sunburn on their paws, but they can also end up not being able to lose heat, and they can end up with heat exhaustion very quickly.
Right.
You can also get sunscreen for your pets.
Can you?
And you can.
I didn't know that.
The other thing to be very aware of is that your short-nosed dogs, so the boxers and the pugs, are most at risk. I mean, anyone that owns these dogs will know that they really struggle in hot weather.
Well, they've already got respiratory issues, haven't they? So they don't, this whole heating and panting, I mean, that must be awful for those little dogs. It's really serious for them, so be extra careful. Emma, just tell us what your website is.
So I've got firstaidforlife.org.uk. So that's first aid for life, FOR, life.org.uk. And I've got firstaidforpets.net.
I'm going to have a little look at that, because that's a really useful thing. And like you say, you know, you just need to think these things through. If you've got a dog, go and have a look. Emma, it's really good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
No, absolute pleasure. I've also got first aid tips there if you think that your dog or your baby or your friend is suffering from heat exhaustion. So really important tips to know so that you know how to help them.
Thanks, Emma. Bye.
Lovely to speak to you. Thank you. 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 Lovely to speak to you. Thank you.